Hey there, Nocturnes! Welcome back to English Me. This is Nocturnal Sage, a guide for those left in the dark. Ako nga pala ulit, si Kuya N, ang inyong class president. Noong nakaraang meeting with Sir Jeremy, diniscuss niya ang tungkol sa pag-administer ng survey, yung mga pwede, yung mga bawal, saka natutunan natin yung kung ano mangyayari kapag hindi natin sinunod yung mga ganung guidelines. Ayaw natin malalagot sa principal, kaya dapat mag-cooperate tayo. Ngayon naman, ano yung gagawin natin kapag naka-gather na tayo ng data para sa ating research paper? O yan, nakapag-administer ka na, nakapag-interview ka pa, ano na? So, yan yung matututunan natin ngayong gabi, paano magsulat ng interpretation at analysis na hindi ka masyadong masistress. Kaya, samahan nyo na ako sa ating klase ngayong gabi para malaman natin kung paano ba talaga. Oh, English me! Oh, English me! Gusto kong matuto ng Ingles pero hindi alam kung paano. Good evening, class. Welcome to tonight's discussion on interpreting data from surveys. The questions that we shall answer for tonight are the following. How can I interpret data from tables, graphs, and other sources? Second, how can I summarize findings effectively? And lastly, how can I write reports effectively? In the past, we focused on the ethics of giving surveys, conducting case studies, and other data gathering methods. Tonight, however, we're going to discuss what we're going to do with the information that we shall have successfully gathered. The core topic for tonight is interpreting data. The rule is simple, but it can be hard at the same time. Just remember one thing. Write only the parts of your graph, table, or chart which provide evidence for your answers to your research questions. I've provided an example to help you understand this point. I always want to repeatedly emphasize that in writing effectively, you have to be minimalistic, meaning to say, get rid of any excess. Just provide what is needed. That's as far as technical writing is concerned. But if it's, let's say, creative writing, literary masterpieces that we're dealing with, that's another matter. But as far as academic material is concerned, we try as much as possible to maintain brevity. Just include the essential parts. What I have here is made up data on a free taste data gathering method for a theoretical business, food business to be exact. As you can see, the horizontal line is the number of days, and the vertical one is the number of customers, the demand line. So we have a graph here. If you record your data this way, you're looking at the progression of the rise in demand. Now the next question would be, so how are you going to put in words what you see on this graph? So that is where the rule of thumb applies. Revisit your question. Just remember this format. Underneath each chart, graph, or table, reiterate the question. So let's say you have a question like, how high would the demand for classic fish and chips in school X likely be? This is again inspired by the marketability survey example on the previous episode, so that you can see the continuity of the illustration. That's why I patterned it after the marketability survey. If your question is this and your answer is something like below average, you need to provide evidence, right? So this is your answer, this is your question. The missing piece is the evidence. Now, where will you get your evidence? From the data. To report your data, you have to construct your sentence in such a way that it would support your answer. Here, our answer is below average. How did you know that it's below average? Okay, let's take a look at the key points here. If we add 5 customers on day 1, okay, this is 5. 6 on day 2, 3 on day 3, 12 on day 4, and 20 on day 5, we get 46 patrons in a period of 5 days. On the average, it would be 9 consumers only out of 500 people per day. 50% of 500 is 250. So that's below 50%. That's why we can conclude that the demand would likely be below average only as far as the free taste data is concerned. This is to imagine that the business owners had a free tasting marketing strategy, let's say in a supermarket, and if it's free, no one would need to pay for such. Therefore, the people who would be patronizing the free taste samples would do it for the quality of the product and not because of the price. That's why you might wonder why the price is not here on the vertical axis. Well, it's because people get them for free, the samples, I mean. That's why we're measuring the number of customers only. So as each day passes, the number of customers either goes up or goes down. And in this case, it fluctuates. That's why we decided to get the aggregate, the total, and then we get the average to determine how many customers on an average basis in the future after 5 days would patronize or buy classic fish and chips. So how would this data help you? This would then give you the analysis, like based on this data, it seems that our, let's say, retail store would need to come up with a product better than classic fish and chips, or think of a prototype that the target customers would likely enjoy that would make the demand rise higher. Yes, make the demand become higher. So see, that's how data interpretation and analysis work. This is the second to the last episode. Continue surviving in the dark for the last one next week. Oh English me, oh English me, gusto kong matuto ng Ingles pero hindi alam kung paano. Sino ang magtuturo? Gusto kong matuto na talaga. Oh English me. Correction tape of the night. Everyday na walang space at yung isa pang everyday na meron. Ano ba yung pagkakaiba dyan? Yung una, yung walang space, ginagamit yan as an adjective. Kuwari, everyday clothes, everyday routine, etc. Pag sinabi natin adjective, nagdi-describe ng noun. Kapag yung merong space sa gitna ng every at saka ng day yung gagamitin, ginagamit mo yon as a prepositional phrase. Yung kuwari, I go to the grocery store every day. Yung mga ganun ba? So alam nyo na yung pagkakaiba, hindi nyo na pagpapalit. At wag nyo nang lalagyan ng hyphen sa gitna. Huwag nyo na lalagyan ng space kung gagamitin nyo as an adjective. Kung nagustuhan ninyo ang episode na ito, pakilike naman dyan sa baba. Tapos kung may questions, suggestions, mag-comment na lang din. I-share nyo naman yung video na ito. Mas maganda nga yung buong playlist sa mga kakilala ninyo na take ng AAP sa darating na school year o sa kasalukuyan, alam nyo naman na kanya-kanya ng diskarte sa paghahanap ng reliable reference material sa internet. At kasama na dyan ang Nocturnal kung naniniwala kayo reliable ito. At syempre naman, kung naghahanap kayo ng outlet para sa mga isip nyo, mga bagay na gusto nyo pag-usapan sa mga pakaraniwang conversations pero hindi nyo nagagawa with your family and friends, sumali kayo ng Nocturne Space para may mga kakilala kayong mga kaparehas ninyo mag-isip. At higit sa lahat, mag-subscribe at itap nyo yung notification bell para hindi kayo mahuli sa anumang updates namin. New episodes every Tuesday at 8pm. Ang Nocturne Space ay nakatuon sa 4 na larangan. Ang una ay self-conquest. Kung ikaw ay naghahanap ng paraan para i-process yung mga nararamdaman mong emosyon, positive or negative, pwede ka namin bigyan ng tips tungkol sa introspection kung paano pagdaanan ng mga ito nang walang medical prescription. Para lang malinaw ang disclaimer. Pangalawa ay communication. Kung ikaw ay
naghahanap ng paraan para gumaling sa ibang skills ng language bukod sa writing and reading in English, pwedeng bigyan ka namin ng tips sa kung paano, let's say, magkaroon ng confidence magsalita sa harapan ng maraming tao kahit online pa yan. Yung isang Zoom meeting nga umabot ng 200, 300 participants. So, ma-apply mo pa rin yon kahit online yung mga klase mo, hindi lang face-to-face. Abangan ninyo yung upcoming na playlist for oral communication in context. Pangatlo ay leadership. Kung ikaw ay bagong halal na student council officer or isa kang professional na bagong promote to managerial or departmental head position, pwede ka namin bigyan ng tips sa kung paano humawak ng mga tao nang hindi masasablay, hindi mapapahamak. Basta bibigyan ka ng tips ni Sir Jeremy tukol doon base sa kanya experience as middle manager. Pang-apat ay expansion. Kung naghahanap ka ng self-fulfillment sa iyong career o anumang ginagawa mo, pinagkakaabalahan na hindi mo makukuha sa pagkakaroon ng mataas na grade, sahod o sweldo, hindi numero, kundi ambisyon, kundi pangarap, ang pwede magbigay nun sa'yo. At matatamo mo lang yon kapag meron ka ng gawain o pinagkakaabalahan na talagang naka-align sa iyong personal mission sa buhay. At kung hindi mo pa alam yon, pwede ka namin tulungan malaman kung ano ba talaga ang definition mo ng success at kung paano mo ma-realize yung ganong klaseng reality na iyong paniniwalaan. Salamat sa panonood. Ako muli si Kuya Ed. Kita-kits sa susunod na episode ng English Me dito sa Nocturnal Sage, a guide for those left in the dark.